Today on our show, we have our Waterloo regional expert, Zack Brittain.
Some of the stuff that I want to cover for the viewers of this video are very much so strategies and kind of order of process for newer or intermediate level investors. If I was starting today, I would do a value add project very similar to that duplex conversion that we showed you, or you could do a live-in flip like the second duplex property we showed you, which could also be like a live-in flip / house hack. This is a way to live cheap, to add value to a property, to get experience, getting tenants, doing renovations, running a budget for your expenses for the property. Like number one, duplex conversion, over 1,100 square foot bungalow, walkout basement, over 60 frontage, over 130 deep lot. This is a layup duplex conversion in a money location with a fat yard that you can add a tiny home to in the future. Somebody please come buy this. And then this bad boy, all brick, purpose-built 5-plex.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Canadian Real Estate channel. My name is Danni Migueis. I'm a head coach and realtor and investor with Revel Barrie. Today on our show, we have our Waterloo regional expert, Zack Brittain. Zack, how are you today?
I'm awesome, Danny. Thanks for having me on. I'm actually super pumped that you're hosting the video because of your experience as a coach, because some of the stuff that I want to cover for the viewers of this video are very much so kind of strategies and kind of order of process for newer or intermediate level investors. So I'm really pumped to have you chime in and give me some coaching of my own, maybe.
Hopefully I do all right.
I'm expecting big things.
No pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we'll pull up just a presentation that we'll go through. So any of the viewers that are going to be watching, this is what we're going to cover. And I know I've gotten a chance to speak with you, Danny. I've followed you on Instagram and I love your stuff. So I know you a little bit more. But for any of the viewers that are newer to the Canadian Real Estate channel or newer to any of our content for Phipps Brittain Real Estate here in Waterloo region, I want to share a little bit more about my personal experience because it very much relates to any of you newer investors that are thinking about investing in real estate or have maybe gotten a few deals under your belt and really want to figure out how to refine it and make it scalable. And I think it's really important to show that, we're not reinventing the wheel with a lot of our strategies and our execution, but it's more about just having a sound plan and using proven systems. And I know that's something that, you guys talk a lot about with your coaching. We're not necessarily trying to invent anything from scratch, but there's a lot of really great resources. And there's people like myself that have firsthand experience. And a big value that we found in working with our investor network is just sharing those experiences so people can kind of see how possible things are and how actually things get done, as opposed to just kind of talking hypothetically. So we'll go through that. And then I'll also intro you to our investor hot list if you don't know about it already. We'll talk about starting your portfolio and end up with a Waterloo region update. So if you guys are here for the market stats, that's fine. You guys can skip to the end, or you can leave a comment and email us at the link in the description. We can send you our market report. We do emails every month on our personal market report as well. So if you're interested in that, shoot us a quick email.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and this is good for you because we don't know each other super well yet, even though I followed on Instagram. But before I got into real estate, Danny, I went to university, right? I traveled a lot. I studied economics and finance. And the way I actually started investing was I had an OSAP loan that I may or may not have used in my TFSA to buy stock because I was researching investments. And I was like, you know what? I got a really cheap loan from Uncle Trudeau, or I don't even know who the prime minister was at the time, but I think it was like 8,000 or 10,000, but I didn't need it because I worked during the summers. Yep. And I took it anyway and thinking, well, maybe I can make a little bit of money with this. It'd be a good experience. So I made a few trades, held a few companies and ETFs that I thought were good long-term holds, lost like $500 and then made like a few $100s and freaked out and then sold it, took my couple $100, paid the loan back and was like, oh crap, maybe I don't play with somebody else's money. But that was my
But
first like dip into that.
awesome. But that shows right there how creative you are,
And
right?
so,
So that right off the hop is showing that you're a creative person and future investor.
well, my mom gave me a book when I moved out of the house. I moved out right after my 18th birthday, and my mom gave me The Wealthy Barber, and it was all about, you know, saving your money and investing in, you know, steady long-term returns. And that's what I did with the investments. But obviously I got a little spooked because I was borrowing, you know, money to do it, which isn't necessarily the wisest thing, especially as a younger, newer investor. But and to put myself through school and to save money for my first investments, I dug holes. Like I wasn't always like skilled trade or labor. Like I did manual labor for 3 summers in a row because I knew I could make more money doing that than maybe doing like a retail job. And I wanted to use the money to pay for school. So I did that. I lifeguarded. I worked at a bank. Like I tried lots of different stuff before I stumbled into real estate. And then when I got into real estate, a lot of people in that are watching these videos and that are interested in real estate and real estate content, a lot of them, people that we've worked with as investors, are business owners. So they experienced something very similar to me. Was I got my real estate license. I was selling real estate for clients full time, but you're an independent contractor. You're a small business. And in order to get financing from the A banks and good lenders, you need to show 2 years of income and tax returns paid before they'll give you a loan without a cosigner even. And so I worked 2 full years in real estate before any bank would even look at me. And to get our first property, I worked for 2.5 years, saved every dime. My wife and I lived really cheap in a dingy apartment, and we got a family member to co-sign for our first purchase. And that first property will go through actually this. So a couple of photos, and if photos could smell, your stomach would turn. So we call this the cat in the doghouse, because there was about 3 large dogs and about half a dozen cats that were living here. The lady just wasn't in a position to care for the property anymore, so they listed it and sold it. And actually, you see the bottom left photo right there with the brown paneling.
Yep.
I actually did a walkthrough with one of my contractors and a framer to come by and quote the place, and I may or may not have stepped in some cat feces in the walkthrough. And I didn't know the contractors that well, and so they're trying not to laugh because they're quoting the job, they want the business, but they're just like, man, that's gross and that's hilarious. So needless to say, Ray, the framer, hooked me up. He ended up taking the job. He was really great, but just to kind of show everybody, like, you know, it's not like, you know, we jumped into investing in lots of glamorous and fancy projects and had all this money to just kind of go out and throw it around. Like we did really think strategically and really had to use our resources very, very wisely, especially at the beginning. And I really wanted to communicate that to any newer investors out there thinking about investing. This property was, you know, inhabitable. We ripped out the carpets, ripped out all the drywall, everything in the basement, Kills sprayed it to get rid of the smells. Like, this was everything. And I am not a handy person, Danny. I don't know about you. When your projects, are you out there swinging the hammer? Are you doing all the work and the labor?
No, you know what we did do? My husband did do quite a bit, but we had definitely hired the laborers there, 100%, because you wouldn't catch me ripping out that orange carpet.
Yeah, well, so the deal was, since that carpet smelled like cat and dog excrements, let's say, my mother-in-law and my wife decided that there was a fireplace in the basement. So the deal was they could take the bricks out from the fireplace, or they took out the gross old carpets. And I love them. I can't believe they even volunteered to help. So I got the carpets. They did the bricks. Bucket by bucket, they're carrying up bricks and throwing them in the bin. And like, you know, I'm not a handy guy, but I knew I had experience buying and selling real estate. I had experience owning real estate with my family who had student rentals when I was in university. But actually doing the work, being on the site, meeting with the inspectors, meeting with the contractors, working with them, that was a really good learning experience because one, now I know what that work takes, how long it takes, how expensive and complicated it is. I also know what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do, and what I'm good at and what I'm not good at for future projects, so that I can focus on what am I good at, what can I provide the most value to a project or an investment property, and then what do I need help with, whether I'm hiring contractors, getting partners, whatever it may be. So one thing that we've really stressed to a lot of the people we're having conversations with, especially if they're newer, they want to start investing, is it's probably a really good opportunity to do as much of it as you can on your first project. And I'm not saying you have to go in and physically do all the work, but like our finished product turned out like this, right?
Wow, beautiful.
We open concept, we had modern finishes, simple white tile, simple colors that'll go with everything, durable click vinyl flooring. We used finishes that made a lot of sense for the property if we were going to keep them like that for 10, 15 years. But also just to show like you don't need to be super experienced to put together a great finished product. I hired out a lot of the technical stuff that I knew I wasn't going to be able to do very well, no matter how long it took me. But throughout the process, I learned so much about just investing in real estate and what it takes. So I just hope newer investors out there don't underscore how important that is. If you can afford to pay contractors to do it all, that's great. You should do that if that's your strategy. But for me, if I'm going to be working with clients to do these types of projects, to invest in real estate, the proof is in the pudding. I walk the walk and now I can talk the talk. And that experience just helps me better prepare our clients and our network for what they're really getting into and ultimately, make their projects and investments a success.
Yes, 100%.
So my experience kind of went like this. So that project that we just showed, that was our very first duplex conversion. My wife and I moved into the upstairs and we refinanced it and then we rented out the basement. So there's a 2-bedroom unit in the basement, kind of like a live-in house hack, live-in duplex conversion, if you will. But I also want to communicate that living cheap is like a really good way to start your first investment property and to keep your expenses low so you can continue to grow and scale. And I did the math, Danny, before we moved into this project. I calculated with our mortgage, with the borrowing funds to finish the renos and paying the contractors I knew I was going to pay, if the project took an extra month or two, if we blew our budget by $10,000, and if our refinance came in light, so kind of all the worst things that could happen with your first project, we were still going to be living for like $150 to $250 a month more expensive than what we were renting.
Yeah.
So right away, I was like, we're in a property. After we refinance it, we get almost all of our cash back, and I am only spending an extra couple $100 a month. Plus, the property is going to raise in value over time. We have tenants that live downstairs, so we don't necessarily get complete privacy, but we have more than enough space and all the features we could ever want in a home. And now we're living for cheap, and we have an asset in our name. Like it was great.
Yep, it's a win-win situation, right? You have to see the big picture. It may seem small and like crazy at that time to think, oh, I'm still paying while someone's living in my basement. But the big picture you guys were seeing allowed you to get where you are today from doing that for a short period of time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of investors have the right big picture kind of idea, but giving a small sacrifice, like we only lived there for 1.5 years, 2 years, right? Like that's, don't get me wrong, 2 years can be a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, like we were very comfortable there. We could have lived there for 5 years. But I just think that a project like this was a little bit bigger than what some may want to take on for your first one. So we'll talk about other options later. But like there was all those benefits: refinance to get my cash back, live in it because we have a great place to live, and it also helps keep our expenses low. And then from there, we took the proceeds from the refinance and savings, because I was still selling real estate full time like I am now, and we took the proceeds from that to go do other duplex conversions. And what that allowed us to do was get more cash flow positive properties under our belt, get more experience at learning how to renovate, how to do layouts, how to get all the features we wanted in those types of properties, learn our numbers like the back of our hand, so that we could go out and we could do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these a year. And that really allowed us to continue to scale our portfolio. So what we would do is, and a lot of investors will do this, is when you're done a renovation for a project, if you can sell it for a great price, maybe you sell it for a great price. At the same time, we'll try and rent it out for a really good price, and we'll take whichever we get first or whichever makes the most sense. That allows us to keep cash flow positive units or sell for a better profit than we expected, and then roll those into future projects, right?
100%.
So after we did the duplex conversions, we sprinkle in a few single family flips. For investors, single family flips can be very profitable. They're very circumstantial. We've had a lot of investors ask us about flipping in Waterloo region. And when your market's really flat like we are for the last few months, it's tricky to say with confidence to do flips, because You need to be confident and experienced in renovation budgets. You kind of have to have that, not mastered, but you have to have some level of experience, or have a team that has lots of experience in that. And you just have to make sure you're giving yourself an extra margin of safety, because your exit strategy for a single family flip is to sell it. So if you can't sell it, or if you can't sell it for what you want, what does that scenario look like? And so we built up our cash pool with single family flips and duplex conversions to the point where we could start purchasing and burning larger multi-units, which is very similar strategy to duplex conversions in the sense of improving the value by making units nicer or adding units to existing multi-unit properties.
That's awesome. You kind of did it. I did it the complete opposite of what you just did.
Oh, you did?
Yes, our first purchase was a 5-plex.
Oh, wicked.
And then we went to a duplex and converted it into a triplex. So
Very
we kind of went a little bit different scenarios there, but in the end, the basics, like you said at the beginning of this episode, were all there. It was the same budgeting, this, and we followed similar strategies, but just reversed the size.
So
there.
if you wanted the cash flow and you already got a great place to live, boom, you popped right into the 5-plex.
That's exactly
awesome.
what we did. Yeah.
That's awesome. So after we did our first investment properties, I kind of learned the renovation game, learned how to use private money, alternate lenders. We really started to get really busy with our investment portfolio. And that really was, we kind of expected that to happen if we continue to see success with our investment properties. But then, we saw kind of the writing on the wall. We were so busy with our own stuff, we didn't have time for everything else, life, our other businesses, and to manage them well. So we really had to start thinking ahead about what our team was going to be like to scale and maintain what we already had. And so we were doing so many of our own renovation projects. We started a construction business locally here with a few partners. They started doing some of our projects, and now we are able to offer that service to clients as well that are investors or people that want to renovate their homes. And it just made so much sense to have the team that was helping us with stuff here and there. We had enough meat on the bone, and there's enough opportunity in this space that we could really do that full time. And so, my partner Matt and I, we run our sales business, helping clients buy and sell their properties, helping our investors start and scale their portfolios. And we have another team to kind of manage more of the not necessarily the acquisition, but the execution of the project, and then the maintenance and the management after. Those can't really be overlooked, because if you're not maintaining your properties, you're not managing them well, chances are those investment properties are not going to be as enjoyable or successful as you want them to be. So we really needed to start adding those parts to our business. And then that takes us to where we're at now. We're at the point of our business where we are really growing our network. And that is involved helping clients buy and sell primary residence, helping clients get their first property or their investment properties, or scale or diversify their portfolio in Waterloo region, as well as our businesses grow. We need more help. So that is building out your network for mortgage brokers, private lenders, bankers, insurance people, construction and contractors. That's really the stage of our business where we're at now, so that we can continue to service our clients and, our own investment portfolio.
Yep. I always say that you need to get yourself a safety net, and it's not about just the money, it's the safety net of people. So you need all those, even right down to your favorite cleaning lady. You need that safety net of people who are going to be there to support you and help you continue to get that growth and scale your business the way you want it to go.
Absolutely. And I think it's also just important to say, hey, you guys are doing your first one. You don't necessarily need all of the perfect pieces in place.
No.
You will add those. And a big part of getting that experience is getting good at just getting shit done. And finding a property manager, talking to other real estate investors or other real estate agents, other people that have experience getting good tenants. The Canadian Real Estate channel is literally a Bible for Canadian real estate, in the sense of it is a massive video book of so much stuff, whether it's Waterloo Region Real Estate with my stuff, or any other market or any other strategy and style of investing. So don't hesitate to go back and check out. I've gone through days worth of video content just on the Canadian Real Estate channel, because these are investors just like myself that are saying, hey, I've done this and here's what worked and here's what didn't. And also little tidbits of kind of golden nuggets on specific markets or style of properties or tips and tricks. And I wasn't so worried about having everything perfectly in place for my first one. But if you guys do want to scale, Danni is absolutely right. If you want to scale without going crazy and finding success, having those individuals kind of support you and back you up, you will need that, or else you're just going to burn out, or you're going to run into unforeseen problems because you're just not paying attention. You can't do it all.
Yeah, 100%.
So this is the investor hot list portion of the video, my friend. So Danni, and for those of you who don't watch, we do an investor hot list every single week for Waterloo region. That means myself, Derek, Matt, we go preview properties. We're starting to film some of them as well. So if you're not already following us on Instagram, we do a vlog style. We just released our first one last week. And we'll go preview properties. We'll look at them online. We will analyze all of the potential investment properties, whether they're single family flips, duplex conversions, multi-units, anything that's actually on our market or any off-market deals we have. We email them right to your inbox and say, hey, this is one we think is good for this type of property or this type of investor. This one could be a good deal for this type of property or this type of investor. By the way, here's our comments on what's going on in the real estate market. So if you want to get a general understanding of investment properties and the real estate market in Waterloo region, the investor hot list is a great stop for you. We'll send you the updates every week via email. We also do some live streams and some vlogs if you guys want to follow on YouTube or on Instagram. And then I want people to just learn and profit. I found the meme. I saw this meme like a while ago, and I've been waiting to use it. And it's a great scene in the movie, but Buzz is just so excited and just sees all the opportunity. And we want to share that with our network. So if you guys want to be Woody and you guys want to learn a little bit and you want to get connected with other people that are really investing in Waterloo region, head over to phippsbrittainrealestate.com/contact. There will be a link in the description. Sign up. We've had some great messages too, Danni. You'll love this. So some people will say, I want those sweet investor deals, or I want that juicy investor hot list. And so if you guys have a good message for us, I read them. Like me and Derek are the ones that are going through these guys. Like you're talking to me and my guys. It's not, some bot or something like that. So when we read these messages, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I can't wait to talk to this person. They sound like a lot of fun. So
that is awesome.
Head over to that there, and we're going to go through 3 deals that are on the market right now.
Perfect.
Number 1, duplex conversion. This property's on Burbank. It is a over 1,100 square foot bungalow, walkout basement, over 60 frontage, over 130 deep lot. This is a layup duplex conversion in a money location with a fat yard that you can add a tiny home to in the future. Somebody please come by this. It's $650, not holding off offers. $650 is a little bit on the higher end for a property you're going to have to totally redo in terms of a duplex conversion, but the upstairs, it's just dated, but it's in very good condition. So you can keep your renovation budget low, and you could put a sweet unit in the basement. Since it's a walkout, it would be gorgeous. So you'll get a little bit more rent, a little bit more refi and resale out of a property of this caliber. We like this one. If we can find these deals for our clients, we will pick them up. These are layups for our market, for anybody looking for duplex conversion.
I was going to say, this is like a perfect opportunity to mimic what you did with your wife for your guys' first one.
Yeah.
First-time home buyer, buy it, living upstairs, get your minimal renovation downstairs, and start paying some of those bills.
Exactly. And we'll go through some scenarios for properties just like this to get kicked off. If you guys are considering buying your first property, but you have that investor mindset, we're going to talk about some strategies on that later, but this is a perfect example of that. Absolutely. And now another example of something, a very similar situation, Danni, is this property is already a duplex. It's listed at $625. It's reduced price. It's been on the market over 100 days. The reason it's not selling is the rents that it's generating are not high enough to support a mortgage you have to put on this property. Pros about this, though, are the location and the fact that it's already a legal duplex. So if you're a buyer that needs a primary residence to live in, or you are buying with a partner that needs separate units, or family members that need separate units, something that is an existing duplex can be an option for you, because you can get vacant possession if you're going to be living in it. And that is a good way to pick up a property under market value, because any other investor that's looking at this to purchase and just rent out as is isn't going to be able to raise the rents as well as you can. You can go live in that for a year or two, fix it up, and then rent it out to tenants and go move into a primary residence or go do it again, and use that as a way to get a favorable purchase price on your first property. So amazing. This location's great. Parking for 6 plus a detached garage, multiple entrances and exits to the basement unit. Upstairs is a cute little 1-bedroom. You can live in it as is, or if you have a little bit of money left over after purchase, you can update it right away to raise the value. this is a location I'd be happy to own long-term as well.
Yeah, it's actually super cute. And I don't know, out there in Waterloo area, Zach, are you guys allowed to do you ever rent out the garage, like separate for storage or parking?
Yep, that's a great question. If you're in the downtown Kitchener or uptown Waterloo areas, that's much more common because storage space and parking space is much more limited. So what we'll do is if we have garage space or extra parking space, we'll rent that out on a separate lease outside of our official Ontario lease. That way it's not rent controlled. That way it's a little bit more flexible. If we need the space for materials or storage or a new tenant that moves in, we have a lot more control over that. But yeah, you can rent out a garage space for $100-$150. There's a way to get a little bit extra money. Older properties typically don't have a lot of storage as well. So if you have like a 3 or a 4 bedroom unit, those people either probably have kids or maybe they're working from home. They're going to need a little bit extra space. They don't want to keep their unit crowded. You can rent that out to them in addition to their lease for a similar amount.
Awesome.
Right? Great question though. And then this bad boy, all brick, purpose-built 5-plex. This might actually be Danny's first house. I don't know. It's not.
It's a little different. This is actually quite beautiful building, actually.
So Kitchener and Waterloo have a lot of really great all brick, purpose-built multi-units. Basically from the 50s to the 80s, that was really common for developers to build those and investors to build those. A lot of the old European community, like that's typically a lot of the properties that they did. And so this one's 5 units. They've price dropped twice, been on the market for months. The rents for the price are not great. In the multi-unit space in our market, if you've been renting, if you're buying a property that's had tenants there for 3 years or more, you're not getting current market rents. You're just not. And so, because rents have just gone up so quickly, they have in the markets that you invest in too, Danny. So a problem is this isn't going to, if you're just putting your minimum 20% down, it's not going to carry. You have to bring a much higher down payment, or you're going to have to run with negative cash flow until the tenants turn over or until you find a way to raise the rents. But this location is money, and there's a lot of upside for the condition and the rents at this type of location in this caliber of multi-unit. Plus, downtown multi-units are something that we're very interested in. Even if we have to pay a premium for them now, they will experience appreciation beyond other locations in our market as intensification comes into our market. More condos, more apartment buildings get built. Smaller multi-units like duplexes, triplexes, 4plexes, and 5plexes like this that have features like storage, like parking, and are still walkable distances are going to be very rentable space, and they will rent and sell at a premium. So we're very interested in properties like this, assuming you can get it at the right price. So we like this one. I like it a little bit cheaper than the current asking price, like every investor does. But if you want to be in the multi-unit space in our market right now, that's going to be a problem you run into. So contact us directly for strategies on how to get value out of listings that are priced higher than what the rents they're currently getting, because that is a common problem for investors, and there are strategies to find value in those sort of circumstances.
100%. My brain is just rolling right now thinking of all the nice things I could do to the exterior of that place.
Right? And it could be so cute. It could be so cute.
It's beautiful.
So one thing that we'll go through pretty quick is just our process. Excuse me. And this is more for any of you that are watching this video that are interested in getting in touch with us, or you want to kind of understand how you should be working with an agent or an investor coach to really make sure you're doing the right things in the right order. And I think this is just really important because a lot of investors we talk to are like, yeah, Zach, I'm ready to go right now. Oh my God, I need to find a great deal. I got money burning a hole in my pocket. Or it's people who've been thinking about it for 2, 3, 4 years and have been waiting for that perfect time. You've heard it from somebody else, but you're going to hear it from me right now, guys. There is no perfect time. There really isn't. But if you kind of follow this process or a similar process, it will set you up to be able to make decisions with more confidence and make sure that you're prepared for anything that can and likely will happen. So number one, Danny, we confirm financing. You gotta be able to know what you can and can't afford, and you gotta know how expensive or cheap your financing options are gonna be. So we start with what are A lenders giving you? How much can you get? What are your rates? What are your monthlies? And then you go B lender, C lender, private, and work your way down from there. And then you as an investor know all of your options and you can apply which option's the most likely for you to actually get, and the combination between most likely to get, but also the best in terms of making your project profitable. So,
yeah, and when you actually really see those numbers in front of you, you know right away which option is almost the best for you, because that tickle in your gut's like, ooh, I don't know if I can do that. And then there's an option there that will excite you, and you're like, I'm ready.
Yeah. And how many times, as an investor yourself, how many times have you gotten a no from one bank or one mortgage broker or one financier, and then gotten a yes from the next one for the exact same thing?
Way too many.
So what I will warn you is there's a lot of inconsistencies with service and available mortgage products from individual to individual and brokerage to brokerage. We have multiple mortgage brokers that we trust, that we do business with, both in our local market and all over Ontario. But what I can tell you is, typically for newer investors, financing is going to be the trickiest part.
Yep.
It is the stickiest, it's the trickiest, and it's typically the most unknown, because it's totally different depending on who you work with and how you work with them. So we typically we won't get our clients mortgages, but we have people from A lenders at the banks to mortgage brokers to B, C lenders, credit unions, and private, that we can get them in touch with, and they can start the conversation to better understand what their financing options are. Once we get initial numbers back, awesome. We get to meet and go through the numbers and the goals. So that is, okay, what types of mortgages can you get? What types of credit do you have? What other sources of cash or financing do you have? Do we need to bring in a partner? Should we put our down payment in cash and finance the renovation? Should we pay for it all cash? All those scenarios get put on the table so that you and whoever you're investing with can better understand what the likely scenarios are. And that allows us to create an action plan around those likely scenarios. Because that is the part of an investor, especially if you're newer or you don't necessarily know our market, that's the conversation that will really start to put legitimate opportunity that you can see and have the idea in your head to the numbers on the page. And that's where you can really start to get clarity and say, yeah, you know what, Zach, this makes sense. We can move forward, or, we have to go back to the drawing board and look at other options. And I find getting our network clarity as quickly as possible helps them as investors identify, okay, yeah, we got to get going with Zach and his team. We got to start looking at properties in the Waterloo region, or should I really adjust my strategy and look at different types of properties, or figure out a different strategy that makes more sense for me? But until you go through that process, it's really hard for us as agents and investors to advise properly. And I want people to be very clear that going through that process is very important for your own benefit as an investor, to understand not only the markets you're interested in, but also the strategies and types of deals that actually make the most sense for your long-term goals. And I know, as somebody with real estate coaching experience and investing experience, understanding what you have now and what your long-term goal is just the start. And then narrowing down each step along the way is really a great way for you as an investor to, make sure you're setting yourself up for success, honestly. And then after we do the action plan, then we get to go shop. That's the glamorous part. That's the fun part. You get to go into a bunch of old dingy tenanted units, or go into some properties that need a ton of renovations, and everything else in between. And that's when you really start to run your real numbers on real deals. And that's something we help our clients with as well. We have a lot of clients from out of town. So Danni, where are you today? Are you in Barrie?
I'm just north of Barrie.
So she's just north of Barrie. She's not coming down to go look at one stinking property. So your boy Matt or Zach, we're going over, we're going to take a look at it. And if it's a great one, we send a video to her. If it's crap, we just send them a quick text. Hey, we already previewed that one. Since we already know your criteria, since we already know your goals and your action plan, we know this property is not a good fit for you. Don't waste your time and come down and view it. And as an investor, having somebody that has experience with your types of deals, and the handy dandy iPhone technology to pull off such an awesome little thing is such a value add, because you can be at your desk at work or working from home or homesick with the kids and get an update on the property you're interested in, saying, yeah, the numbers here aren't going to work. It's a dump, or yeah, I just don't see the value, or hey, this one's really worth a look. Hop on a quick video call when you have time tonight.
Yeah.
Right. And then we execute on the project, and then we repeat. But we can do all those because we have the action plan, because we have the goals, because your numbers. If we don't do those three things first, we're kind of running blind, and we just won't, because you're going to run into trouble with the properties that you choose, the properties you're offering on. You're going to waste a bunch of your own time as an investor viewing stuff that doesn't make sense for you, We want to be very purposeful with how we're setting up our clients for success.
I'm very impressed, honestly, Zach. It's you're selling me over here. I'm going to
Hey,
signing up for the
you're
hot
coming
list.
down. But as soon as we get some more deals, we'll get to the how many deals are on the market now later. But our inventory's dry. So if you, Danny, if you want to start, you can email me personally. So listen, I've called people who have reached out to us as they're watching our stuff on YouTube. Like, this is me on the phone. Like, me and Derek and Matt. This is, we're real people. It's not, you're not just getting passed off to some strangers. This is my personal or my business email address. And we'll go from whether you have no idea how to start, but investing in real estate is awesome for you and you want to do it, to I already have all my financing and my goals. I know my criteria. I need help finding the deals. So if you're anywhere in that scale, we have experience. We have the kind of the system and the strategy already in place to assist. And it starts with an email or going to phippsbrittainrealestate.com/contact. Select the investor tab, give me a cool message because I like getting those and it makes it a little more fun for us. And we get in touch personally to better understand where you're at. If you want to just stay on the investor hot list, it's a great way to watch and learn our market. But if you really want to add properties to your portfolio or learn how to do that in the best possible way, then hopping on a phone call, meeting with myself and my partner Matt is going to be the next best step for you to better understand how to move forward.
There's the email. You guys saw it here first.
We have a lot of people that watch the videos every week, but every month, but for newer viewers, I want to make sure you guys understand kind of who we are and what we're about. And I mentioned it previously in this video, I believe, or maybe this was behind the scenes. We did a live with Matt McKeever, a roundtable with Matt McKeever and a few other agents and investors all over Canada, a couple out west in Alberta, another gentleman out in Burlington. And he asked a really good question. It was, knowing what you know now, if you were starting out today, what would you do? And I've actually thought about that a lot because we have a lot of investors that are just like me, that are looking to get their first investment property, or they're buying their first home and they have the investor mindset. They want to know how to start with one home that they're living in and move it into a big portfolio. And ultimately their goal is some level of financial freedom. And so if I was starting today, I would do a value add project very similar to that duplex conversion that we showed you. Or you could do a live-in flip, like the second duplex property we showed you, which could also be like a live-in flip / house hack. So this is a way to live cheap, to add value to a property, to get experience, getting tenants, doing renovations, running a budget for your expenses for the property. Like, sounds really silly and simple, and it is, but the amount of people that aren't even willing to do those steps is actually kind of shocking. But the people that are willing to do it are the ones that are going to be much more likely to succeed. So if you can afford it, go freehold detached. These types of properties have the most potential buyers, the most potential for appreciation, and the most potential to generate rental income. But if you can't afford a detached home, no worries. Just go a little bit smaller. Semi-detached, there's lots of great freehold semi-detached in our market that are they're very affordable. They can be in good condition. They're in good neighborhoods. They also could be good rentals if you want to hold them long term. If you can't do the semis, go down another level. Go to a freehold townhouse. There's affordable freehold townhomes options. They're typically walking distance and on bus routes to every amenity, so they're very rentable space if you want to rent out a few rooms and house hack it, or you want to use it as a single family rental. But again, I would go detached. If you can't, go semi. If you can't, go townhouse, right? And then I would do value add projects, whether it's a duplex conversion or a live-in flip or a live-in house hack. You haven't met him yet, Danny, but my real estate partner, Matt Phipps, that was his first home. He bought a detached house with a friend of his, and they lived in it and renovated it and then sold it after 2 years for a profit, and then had enough to each go buy their own detached house after that.
Like, what an amazing success story right there. Like,
super simple. They just said, you know what? I can't afford to buy a home on my own, but I want to be a homeowner. I know you want to buy a home, and I know you also want to make money on it. So why don't we buy this property, live in it, we'll renovate it, and then when we're done with the home, we can sell it and go our own separate ways. And that is going to be a much more common scenario in your market and in mine, as property values get too expensive for most single individuals to purchase it without putting themselves in too much of a financial distress. So buying a property with a partner, like, could be huge benefits for it. We've had, 2 years ago, I had a couple of young buddies. They were, maybe 21, 22. working their first careers for a year or two, saved up enough money, and they did the exact same thing. And they're going to do very well on it because they bought a couple years ago. They're up a few $100,000 already. And so they can use that to either improve their personal lives or start their investment portfolio. And then I would just continue to repeat that. Do your duplex conversions, get good at them, do value add live-in flips, go move into a single detached home if you have a family and you want the extra space, but find something in a good neighborhood that you can add value to, like updating the layout, renovating the kitchens, putting additional square footage on it, lots of things you can do. And then after you've kind of done a few of those, you have a few holds under your belt, then you have enough equity and enough buying power kind of in your back pocket to go move into the larger multi-units, whether you're burring those 3 to 5 unit properties like Danni did with her 5-plex, and like we've done with some 3 and 4 unit properties in town. This will give you an experience in dealing with more tenants in the same property. Purchasing and selling and managing multi-units is a little different than, you know, your duplexes and your single family homes, but it'll also set you up to say, you know what, do I want to make that move into larger multifamilies? And that's what I would do. I said on the video last week, I would move into the larger multi-units as quickly as possible next time, because that's what we're focusing on right now. But I also think the larger multi-units, although a little bit trickier to get, they're more rare. They offer more pros than cons, and they get rid of some of the perils of investing in smaller single family homes and duplexes and triplexes in regards to financing and scaling. So I can talk about that with anybody that's individually interested in that. You guys have my email address, you can reach out, but I would look to burr a few smaller multi-units and then jump right into the larger multi-units ASAP. Even in the current climate right now with interest rates being higher, I would be looking to acquire as many good cash flow positive properties or good locations that have the ability for me to add value within the first 1 to 2 years as quickly as possible.
Amazing.
So if that's you, call me or email me. You guys have my contact information. For those of you that are curious about Waterloo region, and I know, Danni, you're going to love this because I want to give you the crash course on Waterloo region. So prices, Zach, are the prices going down? Are they going up? What's happening? They're down so much. Prices have remained steady for like 3 months in our market. They fluctuated up and down like 0.5%, 1%, depending on the market segment, and we'll show that to you next. But what you need to know is interest rates did not cause prices to fall in the last 3 months. They did not yet. And that's what a lot of people were expecting. They're saying, well, I've had lots of conversations, and I'm sure you've even looked at it yourself, Danni, with your own properties and your own strategy is, okay, well, my lending's getting more expensive. I got to be compensated with lower purchase prices for a lot of these projects to make sense. And the reality is there's just not enough inventory in our market here in Waterloo region for prices to come down that much right now, because there's enough buyers out there that need to buy or want to buy or are in a financial circumstance as an investor where it makes sense for them to buy, but there's not enough properties where they have tons of selection. And that brings me to the next point there, buyer and seller hesitation. A lot of buyers and sellers and investors are hesitating because there's a lot of unknowns in our local real estate market. If you are hesitating, that makes a ton of sense, because we are in the first interest raising environment that we've been in a very long time. And there's a lot of economic uncertainty that will directly impact how quickly Canada will rebound from their current financial situation. So I understand that, but I also understand that I'm investing with a long-term horizon as an investor. So I know that in 10 years, real estate's going to be far more expensive than it is now. So if I know that, then I also know if I invest in properties I can raise value in to give myself a margin of safety, or properties that offer me cash flow in the short term, that I will be protected from any short-term downside. And I think that a lot of investors are thinking like that, but they're hesitant to take action. Same with buyers and sellers, because so much has changed so quickly in the last 7-8 months. But if you have a plan in place, if you have a strategy, if you're working with people that have experience in what you're looking for and what you're doing, then you can really kind of move forward with confidence, if that makes sense.
Yep, 100%.
And then finally, you've seen this, if you're up around Barrie and North Barrie area, good deals, they sell fast there too. Like,
so fast.
Right? You have, let's say 50 to 60% of your market's going to sit on the market for 2, 3, 4 months, but the good deals, 10 days or less, gone. I don't care if it's, we had an 18 unit apartment building that we shared on our investor hot list, and it was wrapped up in less than 10 days. They had an accepted offer.
Wow.
Done.
Amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
Duplex conversions, if they're good deals, they're gone. Single family homes to live in, if they're good locations, they're good condition, they're priced right, they're gone. Doesn't matter if it's a condo or large multi-unit and everything in between. If it's a decent deal, it is selling quick. And then everything else is just sitting for a bit, right? So I caution you guys, if you want to actively look, you've got to get your strategy and your action plan in place before you go out and start looking and analyzing all these deals, because you'll go find a great deal and say, hey, Zach, I like that deal. And by the time you've reached out to me, it is probably already sold, right? So if it's a good deal, it's typically moving pretty quick. I just caution people to be prepared and actively look. And then prices. This is what's actually happening with the prices. So Kitchener-Waterloo and Cambridge, we just kind of are amalgamating, so it's all going to be into Waterloo region. Their markets are like virtually identical from a median or an average perspective, which for you guys watching this video, that's kind of the best way to get context on which way a market's going. If you want to know about specific prices for how much duplexes sell for, or how much flip properties or duplex conversions or 5-unit buildings sell for, that's much more specific. So reach out directly and we can send you comparable sales as well as other market data so you can get a feel for the type of market segment. But generally speaking, Danny, our overall market is down year over year, just over 8% for median sale price, but 0.2% from last month. So virtually the same price, down a few $1,000 on average. As you can see though, detached prices stayed the same month over month, but they're down about the most by 10% year over year, which kind of makes the most sense. Detached prices have the most variance in terms of condition, size, location, and value. So they're going, their percentage change has the biggest room to go up and down. Whereas townhouses and apartment style condos, they haven't come down as much. And I wanted to ask why. So if anybody knows why or has an idea why, I'd love to hear your comment. But typically in our market, townhouses and condos are much newer properties. So those properties that are being sold now were built and purchased 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and they're still in brand spanking new condition, in nice fancy downtown locations for the townhouse or for the condos, and quiet premium suburb locations for the townhouse style properties. So they're in new condition, modern layouts, modern finishes, good square footage. Those properties are the ones that are still selling at a premium because they're turnkey, they're move-in ready. So a lot of those numbers are a little bit more skewed in terms of how much and how much they're increasing in value or decreasing in value, because a lot of the units that are being sold are newer, and those properties haven't come down in value quite as much as maybe distressed properties or estate sales. Those properties will hold value a little bit more right now. So we have detached around 800,000. We have townhouses around 600,000. Apartment style condos around 500,000. What do you notice between the price point for the townhouses and the apartments?
Your year over year change there. Your apartments have gone way up. They're 6.5%, which is amazing.
Yep. Waterloo region was not a condo market until recently. And you look downtown, I'm looking out my window right here. I can see downtown Kitchener, brand new condo at the end of the street on Duke getting finished up, right? All new apartment buildings going up in the premium downtown locations with nice finishes, right? People are going to pay a premium to be in the good area. Furthermore, the difference in price point between a townhouse and a condo is shrinking. So if you can afford to make that jump into a townhouse and you got that investor mindset, or you got that financial savvy, you want to utilize the financial gain, get into a townhouse. It will appreciate a little bit better, and it could be an opportunity for you to hold or utilize it for a different investment in the future. So we're really interested in using those for maybe investors who don't have quite enough capital or don't want to jump into bigger projects right away. Okay, so any other questions on the real estate market, guys? After you watch this video, you can email me directly. We can send you our monthly update via email if you want our market update, or if you want to get on the investor hot list, there's links in the description. And then the best way to follow along or get connected, we're really active on Instagram. I have my personal Instagram restarted again at Zachary John Brittain. But for all of our real estate stuff, if you don't want travel, if you don't want donuts, if you don't want sports and video games, all the fun stuff that I'm into, then you head over and you check out the Phipps Brittain Real Estate Instagram. That's where we have all of our real estate content. We do behind the scenes stuff. If I'm going out and previewing listings, I'll make comments on properties and drop little tidbits on how we're executing on our projects. It's a great way to learn about our market and get a taste for how we're working with our investors and with our properties. So you can follow along with us there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zach.
Yeah, this is great. I'm super excited for you guys to check out the video. And if you aren't already following the Canadian Real Estate channel, Danni, how can they get in touch with you? How can they follow the channel? Bring us on home.
Bring you on home. Okay, so simply Google the Canadian Real Estate Channel, and you will find that YouTube channel, no problem. They also have their Instagram page. I think it's Canada REI.
Canada REI, yeah.
REI is what we call it. And then my page, personal page, is just danni.realestate.
Ooh wee.
You know?
Thanks so much for having me on. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.